Austin Price, VolQuest.com, covering Tennessee football and recruiting. He joins us each week thanks to Rick Terry Jewelry Designs. Austin, good afternoon. It's game day eve. How are you?
Man, I'm good. The glass broke just now. The glass will break again at midnight tonight. So I am just excited for tomorrow and everything that it brings. And, you know, anytime you get to a new football season, and we got a little bit of a taste last week, guys, with the, the Northwestern Nebraska game and a few others. But, you know, it really gets cranked up tomorrow and into this weekend.
AP. The time is now. Compare the excitement, the energy heading into game number one in the 2022 season versus the 2016 season. It feels like there's more, but I don't want to have recency bias. I'm asking you, what do you say?
I would say no, and here's why. Because I do think there were probably more top-end players on that 2016 team. But I get your comparison. I mean, when you think about Barnett, Malone, Hurd, Kamara, Dobbs, I mean, there was a lot of high-end guys. Now, there are some really special players on this team. I do feel like that team had probably a little bit more top-end talent to it. But this team, I think, could be potentially deeper than that group in 2016. Either way, if Tennessee can, even if Tennessee repeated that, I think it'd be hard to repeat how it played out, beating Florida and Georgia, and not making it to Atlanta. But if Tennessee could, repeat that in some form or fashion this year, and get 8, 9, maybe more wins than that, then I think it would be more of a special season, because I think the expectations to me are lower, Jason, with this group than they were in 2016. In 2016, most people were expecting a trip to Atlanta, especially after they beat Florida and Georgia. They didn't get it. This group, no one's expecting to go to Atlanta, in my opinion, but I think they have a chance to over-exceed some expectations.
Looking at the running back depth chart, and you have to take the depth chart with a grain of salt, but number one, Jabari Small, no question there. Number two is Jalen Wright, but he was out a lot of fall camp. The guy that was really turning heads was Dylan Sampson. Do you feel like Dylan Sampson will be the second running back off the bench behind Jabari Small based on the fall camp, or do you see a situation where you go with the veteran and we see Jalen Wright getting the second rep snaps during the game at running back?
I think the second back into the game will be Jalen Wright. I think I've been told he has had a great, strong close to fall camp. Remember, he didn't really get a lot of contact work because he was limited early in fall camp. But they're not, the staff, in my opinion, is not going to allow the last 20 days to dictate the off season he's had. I mean, they were very, very pleased with everything he's done at this off season. The kid's been super driven. He's put on weight. He's improved his mental side. A lot of praise for Jalen Wright. So, in my opinion, back number 2 into the game tomorrow night will be Jalen Wright. But I honestly believe all 4 running backs will carry the ball in tomorrow night's game.
Austin Price is with us, VolQuest.com. He joins us thanks to Rick Terry Jewelry Designs. What about on the other side of the ball? Did anything stand out in terms of the names at the cornerback position and the depth chart? And then what do you make of that position group as they have to replace Alante, of course, Theo in the secondary, the cornerback position, corner and star, if you want to kind of combine those?
Yeah, Josh, I think the biggest thing that everybody kind of picked up on was there's no Brandon Turnage, right? I don't really get real caught up in that. They're going to play a lot of bodies at receiver, and they're going to play a lot of bodies at defensive back tomorrow night and start to let this thing kind of shake itself out. I described this, I think I was taping something with the guys at Outkick yesterday. I'm not sure Tennessee's got any A-plus players. I might even said this on this show a week or two ago. I'm not sure Tennessee has any A-plus players in the secondary. I'm not sure they have any A players in the secondary, but I think they got a lot of Bs and B-pluses. And if you're using the grading scale. And so, I think they've got a lot of the same type of players, really good, solid players, some with more experience than others, depending on where you've been and whether you've been here or not, whether you were at, like Wesley Walker's got more experience than Andre Turrentine. He's older, he's played at Georgia Tech a lot more than Turrentine was able to get any kind of run at Ohio State. So, but I think they have a lot of quality players in the back end of that defense. I think you're going to see a lot of them play. I think Christian Charles, if I was betting starting corners tomorrow night, I'd roll Christian Charles and Warren Burrell. I think Warren Burrell is locked in. Christian Charles is a guy that I think Willie Martinez likes a lot, and I think a guy that will start there. At nickel, I think that Tamario McDonald is going to be the guy there, and then we'll see who else kind of flashes when he comes out of the game tomorrow night.
Austin Price, VolQuest.com here on Josh and Swain. This program is still in the phase of being able to tell recruits that, hey, you come here, you're going to play early. We still are selling early playing time. Tomorrow's going to be important for, I think, this staff to be able to show recruits, hey, look at all these freshmen. They got into the game and made plays. We understand that SEC games, it may be a little bit different, but this is a great opportunity for a lot of guys to play. Give me one player on offense, one player on defense, freshman that you feel like will enter the game first and make a huge contribution tomorrow.
Well, I do think that, on the offensive side of the ball, you're looking at when Dylan Sampson comes in, and then maybe a guy like Chaz Nimrod, but I think you see those guys probably deep into the second quarter or early second half. Defensively, I think you're going to see Josh Josephs early. I think you'll see James Pierce tomorrow night. I think you'll see Tyree West tomorrow night. But, those Leos, starting with Josephs and then Pierce, I think will both help this football team this year. And I think they'll both get some run tomorrow night. And ultimately, it's going to be on every one of those freshmen to mentally prove they can handle playing. Because if you bust against Ball State, the staff's not going to have a whole lot of faith in you to roll out there and not bust against Pitt on the road a week from now.
Yeah, Austin, my sleeper for the season yesterday on the show was Joshua Josephs. Good pick. I think Swain with like Hooker or Tillman, somebody like that. But Josephs, what do you think there on the defensive side?
What?
I love it, man. I mean, he's drawn a ton of praise all off season, all through the summer. The most interesting thing in all this is like the freshmen that are getting talked about the most are guys that did not arrive until the summertime. Sampson got here in June. Same thing with Joseph. Pierce, same thing. I mean, and Pierce to me is behind Joseph at this point. But when you think about the guys that potentially could burst onto the scene the fastest, it's players that weren't here in January, which kind of it goes against the trend because most of the time that extra semester and spring practice pays a huge dividend.
Last week, we saw Lipscomb Academy on ESPN going down to Alabama and playing Thompson High School, getting the win. But there were several Tennessee recruits in that matchup. 22 class, also 23 class, and then also 24 class. Austin,
Yep.
Give us a little update on where Tennessee stands with some of those players that were playing in that game.
Well, Nathan Spillman is committed to the 23 class, and then you've got his younger brother Edwin and Caleb Beasley, who are guys that Tennessee really covets, really likes a lot, and both have been up here a ton this summer that are in the 24 class. So, yeah, I mean, Trent Dilfer's got a nice array of talent at Lipscomb. They're the best team in the state, in my opinion, this year. Maybe McCauley could play with them. Oakland seems to be down a little bit. Maryville's down in terms of, what they have been in the past. Lipscomb is really, really loaded. And to go and beat, Milton 2 weeks ago and then Thompson this past week, one from one of the heavyweights in Georgia and one of the heavyweights in Alabama, tells you how good Lipscomb really is and just how much talent they do have.
Stanton Ramel was in that game, 2 for Thompson there at left tackle. He's a Michigan State commit. He looked pretty good. What are Tennessee's chances to continue to stay in the hunt with him and possibly have a chance late in the recruiting process?
Yeah, I think that they'll continue to contact all those tackles they missed on, right? I mean, they'll continue to swing at a guy like Francis. They'll swing at Stanton. They'll swing at Lucas Simmons. I think ultimately Lucas Simmons is probably the most realistic, just based off the fact that Florida State is a potential candidate for coaching change. And depending on how they start, they opened up this weekend in New Orleans against LSU. Then they play Louisville at Louisville here in about 2-3 weeks. Things don't start real quick for Florida State. They struggle out of the gate. I think that there's a potential there that the hot seat talk really ratchets up, and then, who knows at that point, can Norvell hold on to his team? So, they're going to continue to recruit all those players. They'll also continue to recruit guys like Bryson Lang. They'll also watch senior film. They'll look at JUCO ranks. Tennessee's going to have to bring in another tackle at some point, because Darnell Wright is, providing, he stays healthy and does what he's capable of doing. I would expect this will be his last go-around on Rocky Top. He's a fourth-year guy who started every year and, has gotten better and better, especially, with the coaching change. He really bought into Glenn Ellerby and really has flourished last year at left tackle, and then this year I believe he'll flourish at right tackle.
All righty, Austin, we'll get you out of here, but before we do, how many points for Tennessee tomorrow night?
I picked, 55-17, something like that. I mean, I think Tennessee's going to, Tennessee scored in the upper 30s last year against Bowling Green. I thought they were very underwhelming in that opener, and they missed a lot of plays. I don't expect them to do that this year. I expect them to play really, really well. And, I think that this team's plenty motivated, and honestly, they're just at that point where they're ready to hit somebody besides themselves. So I think Tennessee will play well tomorrow.
Okay, 55 points. That'll work right there, Swain.
Absolutely. That's what I want to see. I have my score prediction. I think I shared that with you earlier in the day, so looking forward to sharing mine. But it's close to APs, that's for sure.
Yep, Swain's score coming for the good people here in our next segment. This segment presented by Rick Terry Jewelry Designs, making it unique, making it special, making it just for you. They want to be your jeweler there at Rick Terry Jewelry Designs, and they make the segment each week happen with Austin Price. VolQuest.com, that's where you can find his work and his colleagues' work. Austin, appreciate the time so much. Game day will be here tomorrow, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, it's just like Christmas Eve, guys. Stay up till midnight tonight. Watch my Twitter, baby.